All right, it is fight night, and we got an update on Gervonta Davis and what happens next with him if he beats Frank Martin. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, good people, we got a fight going on tonight. And matter of fact, we got a bunch of good fights coming up tonight on Amazon Prime pay-per-view, where Gervonta Davis will be fighting Frank Martin in the main event. In the penultimate event, you have David Benavidez fighting the former WBC world champion Herchek. And you have another two fights that are very interesting on the main event card, which is Gary Antoine Russell versus the former WBA 140-pound champion Puello. And also you have Carlos Bronco Adames fighting the always steady, always fighting Terrell Gausha. So I can't wait to buy this pay-per-view. And man, it should be really, really exciting. Before I get into the details of, number one, what I think is going to happen with Gervonta Davis in this fight, also what is going to happen next for Gervonta Davis, which I think is excellent news. But as you know, people are going to cry about it, even though that's what they're asking for. But before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It makes a big difference to the channel. Let's get into it. And shout out to my guy, Daryl McKinney, Barbara D, everybody in the crew. Shout out to Mr. Pragmatic. How are you, sir? Paul Carrick, thank you, brother, for your support. My guy, Dre's Finest, you dig? Let's get into this. First, I got Gervonta Davis beating Frank Martin, and I have a suspicion that it is going to be a late stoppage. However, it could go to the cards, but in either scenario, I got Gervonta Davis winning. The reason that I believe that is I just think that the experience level between Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin is so significant, and also the conditioning of Gervonta Davis looks extremely on point, while Frank Martin in the weigh-in looked very, very drained. And he looked, I'm going to say he looked nervous, but man, the flinch, like, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a flinch that took place where Gervonta Davis jumped at him and Frank Martin flinched. The reason that I say that is that I think that plays a role is really because one of the part about Gervonta Davis's game that is really the most accomplished is his feints, his foot feints, his head feints. He'll just make you, and he's so selective with his punches that he'll just make you move. And once he sees a pattern of how you're moving, he just seems to be like one step ahead of what you're going to do. The amount of it, and that has a lot to do with the amount of experience that he has as a fighter, having been fighting since he was 8 years old, having been a professional fighter. I do believe being a world champion before Frank Martin started boxing, or somewhere around there, because Frank Martin, I think they said Frank has been boxing since he was, walked into the gym at 17. So with Gervonta Davis was about a champion at the time that he started fighting. So now Frank Martin has a lot of terrific athleticism. He has a terrific trainer, right? And he has a very, very solid approach to fighting. However, if you look at the people that he's fought, and I'm not saying he's not a good fighter because of the people that he fought. I don't like when people do that, and I'm not doing that now. What I'm saying is, like, I looked at who he fought. He's only fought 2 southpaws. The 2 southpaws that he fought were years ago, and those were guys that were like, one of them may have had a record of like 1-4, and the other guy, I think it may have been his debut fight. So they basically in 4 rounders. That is, and it was so many years ago that him getting in the ring with a southpaw like Gervonta, and Gervonta, by the way, fought a southpaw last January in Hector Luis Garcia. And Hector Luis Garcia is an Olympic. I think he's an Olympic gold medalist. He's definitely an Olympian. He's definitely an Olympic medalist. I think he's an Olympic gold medalist. Southpaw fighter moving up from 130 to fight Gervonta Davis when they fought in Washington, D.C. So, Gervonta Davis has been in there with the southpaw. Also, Gervonta Davis is in, according to reports that Bob Arum did not deny, Gervonta Davis is in talks to fight Vasyl Lomachenko next. And that's another southpaw. So if you look at the fact that he's fighting Frank Martin, who is a southpaw, and the next fight that Gervonta Davis may be having in October and November could be Vasyl Lomachenko, who's also a southpaw. You may see that, look, man, they're kind of matching him up to get him ready for Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, that is a fight that I really, really hope gets made, and it's got to get made this year. Vasyl Lomachenko at 36 years old is not too old to compete. To compete with Gervonta Davis. And I'm telling you, that's still a dangerous fight for Gervonta Davis, because Vasyl Lomachenko ain't no joke. His activity level does open him up to big shots for Gervonta. Man, I'm telling you, man, that's just an electric fight that I certainly hope gets made. As for the rest of the fight card, I got my guy David Benavidez beating the former Ukrainian champion. I have David Benavidez winning that, but that's probably could be the toughest fight. That or on that card, that or my guy Gary Antoine Russell versus the Dominican Alberto Puello. But man, just all around, man, just an exciting card. I had heard somebody say that they were going to skip out on buying this pay-per-view because they thought that this was like a basic HBO card, level card or something that should be, on. Man, are you nuts? This is a absolutely terrific fight. Number one, to see Gervonta, David Benavidez, and Gary Antoine Russell, and Carlos Adames. Man, it's terrific card, and better than a lot of pay-per-views. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I would take it if it was free for sure. You know what I'm saying? I would take it if it was free for sure, but now this one is definitely worth the price of admission, paying to watch it. Moving into what's going on after this, though, for Gervonta, man, that I really hope that they do make that Vasyl Lomachenko fight. One of the reasons it has been speculated, and shout out to my guy, man. I got to tell you, man, if you guys have not, go to brunchboxing.com, brunchboxing.com, and it is a website that is by MVO Uncensored and Brunch Boxing Twitter page that wrote an article about Turki Al-Sheikh and kind of the pushback that he's getting related to trying to take over boxing in the and start this boxing league. And it directly addresses the fight between Gervonta Davis and Vasyl Lomachenko could potentially be a reaction to that. And U.S. promoters saying, hey, man, let's start making fights together. And they are being resistant about that boxing league, because there's some things about that boxing league that is not going to work for promoters. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.